Welcome to the Guru's Pod. X is back with Theo and Mike for the Survivor recap. A tribe swap came and shook up the game. Jeff tried to rap like me. That was lame. Make sure to like and sub. That'd be great. Now let's resume. Sorry for the wait. Welcome back to the Guru's Survivor 50 recap. X, Mike, and Theo are here. I was gone last week. I had to work. Sorry for me. But I'm back here now, so that's fun. And boy, did we have one of the Survivor episodes of all time today. A lot to get into. I'll say this right off the top. Felt really new era vibe, which is kind of slanderous coming from us. But, still a lot of good stuff to sink our teeth into. I want to start here right off with the swap. So we had some fodder before, but we immediately get into the swap. And guys, I want to get Mike's opinion first on this. When you first saw the breakdown, which I'll get into right now. So Sela, we get Sari, Devins, Charlie, D, Jonathan, Camilla, and Rizgod. Over on Kalo, we get Chrissy, Coach, Tiffany, Aubrey. That is Colby Donaldson, Genevieve, and Joe. And then over at Vatu, we have Angelina, Q, we have Stephanie, we have Christian, Emily Flippin, Ozzy, and Mike White. When you look at all of this dynamic, what immediately jumped out to you first?
The first thing, you want my honest opinion?
First thing
is that Kalo is old. That was my first thing. They have an old tribe.
Mike's back on his ageism. Here we go.
Sorry, it came out, it jumped on the screen. I was like, oh, that's Chrissy, that's Coach, that's Colby, that's people that played 20 years ago. But no, the first thing that really jumped out to me was Joe is alive. This is perfect for Joe. Me and Theo talked last week about how Joe had the sloppy episode of last week. Didn't get voted out, but it was kind of like he was DOA on Sela. And then I look at the tribe dynamic and you look at who Joe immediately links up with. It's Coach, Mr. Honor and Integrity. It's Colby. It's all these people that I'm like, this is perfect for Joe. This is exactly who he would want to work with. All the people on Sela, I was like, he's not going to work with any of these guys.
Theo, what about you?
No, that's the same first take I had. I feel like that was the first beach they took us to, and it was just right away. It was like all of a sudden, we've talked a lot about Joe and how he can get people to play his game and how he's shaped his whole season. They kind of played by his principles and played his game. And he was on that beach, and Devins and Christian did not want to play his game, and it looked like he was screwed. But now he's on a beach with people that will play Joe's game, and when they play Joe's game, it's Joe's beach, and Joe gets to play from a power position. So I think that's what we're going to see. So completely changed everything regarding Joe.
Yeah, I third that, and it looked like immediately everyone else was just as hyped to see Joe as well, which I thought was a little bit comedic, but regardless. One of the first things I noticed, though, was, and this was, kind of nothing, but it made me laugh, Camilla was so adamantly against this tribe swap, where it was almost ridiculous how mad she was, and then she quickly backtracked. She's like, no, we're good. I like how it ended up, but at first, I thought she was maybe laying it on a bit too thick, how upset she was.
Yeah. Was this before or after she realized Jonathan was on her tribe? I don't actually, was that before? Was she upset?
She was kind of doing it throughout, right? So she kind of walks over, she's still upset, and then she looks around, and she's like, oh, I have Jonathan, I got the Riz God, I'm in good hands.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I thought Camille was laying on hard. I took away that Charlie was complaining about the fans voting, and I kind of second him. I'm like, what are these fans voting for? Did we vote for all these different things in the first 5?
Can I defend this for 1 second? I think it'd actually be worse television if the former Sela was just a disaster tribe and all these people we like just were consistently in tribal council, like Sari, like fair. Ozzy, like Christian, like Devins. So I think that, look, everyone likes tribe swaps. Not everyone likes them in the 3rd episode, and I think we're all in the same boat there. But in this instance, I think it was fine. Again, it's a little bit protective of Sari and Ozzy, particularly, in my opinion, because they seemed like they were shuffling to the bottom of that tribe along with Joe, all really high on the producers' rankings of people they want to see go far. So with any of those people going home imminently, I think this was kind of the move to save that and shake up the game a little bit. So I'm a little annoyed by it, but I understand why they did it this time.
Yeah, there were some tandems I liked, though. Even you say they wanted to keep Sari and Ozzy in, but I'm not done with that tandem. I wanted to keep watching them play together.
Right. No, I'm with you there. I'm like, how is Ozzy going to do without Suri? I was like really worried for my guy Ozzy.
Spoiler, he was Ozzy again. He wasn't Oscar anymore. He was just Ozzy. Shocker. Who could have saw that coming? Because Mike, as I mentioned multiple times the last few times we've done videos together, you could say you're a different person all you want. But as soon as fairy godmother Suri is gone, you're just back to being Ozzy. And I sniffed it out the entire time, and we saw it here. Ozzy had no idea what was going on. He's like, yeah, I'll vote however you want me to, Emily Flippin, even though you've actually wanted me out the last 2 episodes, despite you not even realizing that. We'll get into that in a little bit. What the hell was she doing? But yeah, Ozzy was back on his Ozzy nonsense here.
Ozzy had the most information in that entire tribe, though. He comes over to the new Vatu.
I guess.
Well, obviously, he's the only person on Exile Island with Q, so he has that bond with Q immediately. Who's the first person Q talks to? It's Ozzy telling him, hey, you got the idol? We willed it to you. Emily doesn't know he has the idol. None of the David versus Goliath members know he has the idol, including Christian, who's on this tribe as well. So I thought Ozzy had another good episode. I thought he handled himself fine without Suri. I thought he was again in another power position.
This is shilling water. I mean, Mike, he had information. He had no power here. He had he didn't even attempt to do anything. He just sat complacent. He was being told his marching orders from Flippin.
Well, he didn't even get the vote he wanted.
Again, well, similarly to Q, he's on a tribe swap with 3 people who played together and are good friends in real life. There's nothing he can do.
Maybe someone should have brought that up. I mean, they brought it up more than anyone else did. It seemed like they thought it was a bigger deal than anyone else thought it was, which is kind of baffling to me.
Well, Ozzy literally said, hey, guys, there's 3 people that know each other in real life. We probably should split them up. That's kind of an idea. The issue is he didn't have the numbers to do it. He has no working relationship with Stephanie, and he has a working relationship with Q. The only issue is Q sold his vote to Ozzy, which is why Ozzy's still here, ironically enough. And then Emily Flippin, who is kind of more with Ozzy's camp now than she is with Christian. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I thought Ozzy had.
I don't think Flippin knows what camp she's in right now. I don't think she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, but 2 episodes ago, did you think there was any chance that Emily and Ozzy would have a working relationship?
Mike, I didn't think that because by her own words, she wanted him out. And then all of a sudden today, she's like, you know who I've actually wanted to work with? Ozzy. When was that? Was that in between you trying to get him out and failing at it? Was that when that happened?
Well, here's the thing. Ozzy has clearly wooed her. Ozzy's social game is working. It's like Rizzo and Colby the first 15 minutes. Colby was like, I want Rizzo out of here. Now he's like, Rizzo's fine.
The mullet was so tempting, she needed a part of that?
It's not like she was talking to Christian much this episode. She was talking to Ozzy for all these decisions to make. It was like, Ozzy's now in a situation where he's not actually the one going after people going after him.
I mean, she was kind of talking at him. It was very, wife-ish when the wife is like, we're going here for dinner. And you're like, oh, that sounds good. You know? It wasn't really like he had a say in the matter.
Well, if she really wanted him out, she could have got him out. Like, she could have. She had the numbers to get Ozzy out. This is her. If she really wanted to do it.
Maybe today, but I don't think that was ever on the table, to be honest.
Well, again.
And she tried the last 2 votes, and it didn't really go her way. She did the thing where she floated out kind of to gauge everyone else's reactions. They were sort of into it, but it kind of fell flat. So.
Yeah. And Ozzy's still here, and Ozzy still has an idol. So, and he didn't tell Emily that. So it's not like he's diarrhea at the mouth to Emily. Emily's just telling him everything. So again, I like Ozzy kind of keeping it quiet, playing your cards close to the vest. Let Emily talk all she wants. She's getting the target bigger on her. Ozzy's target is kind of shrinking every single episode.
But she now, like Ozzy's not going to go around and talk strategy, and now Emily she's getting no information the rest of this game. Like there's no way anybody's giving her anything. So I don't know how the 2 of them are going to be able to operate.
Well, again, Christian certainly won't be giving her that much information now. I mean, he was upset that his whole heist is not really a heist anymore. I mean, it was, the whole thing.
Yeah, so let's just talk about it. So one of the first things we see in this episode is a conversation between Devins and Christian. And it's basically about the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, which we are contractually obligated to say every time we talk about the Boomerang Idol. We have to bring up Miss Billie Eilish. But regardless, so they're talking about this idol. And they have this kind of random idea that I don't think will pay much dividends, but they seem to think it will, where Christian does not want the idol stink on him. So rather than get this idol stink, which I don't think is super relevant early in the game, regardless, he's going to make Devin's idol stink that much more potent, which again, you do you, fam. But anyway, so they have this discussion. And again, in real time on the island, this is only, a few days after they actually find said Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. And they haven't been able to communicate this with Miss Flippin just quite yet. So Flippin's hanging around with like Joe and Ozzy, and they don't want to have Joe or Ozzy in on this, so they just don't have a time to tell her. So eventually we get to the tribe swap here, and Christian decides this is the only time I have and tells Emily. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to show my cards here on what I think about this. The fact he told you at all, it doesn't matter when he told you, he still told you. That still means he trusts you, okay? It doesn't matter when it happens. Doesn't matter where it happens. He still told you. Wouldn't you have been a hell of a lot more upset if he didn't tell you at all? I think this is kind of being upset about the wrong thing. But regardless, she's clearly scorned by this, way more than I thought anyone could possibly be scorned by being told valuable information at any point in Survivor. And so Emily's mission immediately is to blow up Christian. She's going around and saying, hey, Christian told me that he gifted this idol to Audrey, who none of you seem to care for that much, apparently. So, do with this what you will. And then all of a sudden, Emily's like, I don't know, that Stephanie Q dynamic, that's scarier than the 3 people that played together before. I don't know. And Christian, like, he had my back at first, and he did tell me, which was obvious the entire time. But I'm going to change my mind, and goes and tells Christian that hey, sorry, I'm really sorry, but about the boomerang idol thing, the Billie Eilish boomerang idol that no one was supposed to know about. Yeah, I actually told everyone else. Oopsies, sorry, we're good though, right? Like we're still chill. Like, oop, my bad. What the hell was happening here? Theo, I want to hear your thoughts on this, because the entire time I'm watching this, my head is just combusting, because a few weeks ago, I falsely laid out that I thought Flippin was doing a decent job playing this game, that I liked her floating the Ozzy name out, waiting for reactions. It wasn't truly like bringing a name to the table. She was trying to gauge everyone else around her. And I thought she had something solid with Devins and Christian. And I liked the alliance, even though, sometimes you see an alliance like this, too many of their strengths are aligned with one another. But I still thought something could happen here, and you did as well. But when you watch this unfold, surely your mind has to be exploding too, right?
Yeah, I was just furious, like watching her explode Christian's game, because I love Christian. I want him to go deep. But with the way this tribe is, he kind of needs her to be his number one. And the way she was running around this beach, she cannot be his number one. Because I think like Mike and Angelina seem thick as thieves. So I don't think like those two are going to prioritize themselves ahead of Christian. So he almost kind of needs this relationship with Flippin. And I don't see how that can be successful.
Yeah, they have to repair it. They have no other choice. Like, as much as Christian's angry at Emily right now, he's kind of all she's got, because little does he know, he doesn't know if he's going to be tribe swapped with her. So he does tell her the challenge, like you mentioned. But his number one is Rick Devins. But his number one on this beach has to be Emily Flippin. I was losing my mind before you were losing your mind. I was losing my mind whenever she was talking to Angelina. And I'm like, is she going to tell her the whole plan? Is she going to tell her the whole plan? She tells her the whole plan. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, she's told everyone on the beach everything, and all the information is on the table with this Vatu tribe. And who does this hurt the most? Obviously, it's Christian, but it also hurts Q's game. It hurts Stephanie's game. It hurts everybody's game at this point of, the people that she was trying to work with to blow up Christian's game. And then she's like, wait, I don't want to set up the bomb on Christian's game just yet. I want to work with Christian, work with the David versus Goliath trio. And now I'm playing maybe the worst middle game because I'm telling everybody everything. It was a total mess. So I'm losing my mind watching it live, because I'm just like, what is happening here? I went from thinking Angelina's in a really bad spot to all of a sudden I'm like, Q, you have no vote. And apparently Emily, who you really wanted to work with, is now blowing up everyone's game to actually just not benefit you at all. I lost my mind.
And now I think Emily's screwed, because even if this Vatu tribe starts
100%.
working, they're not letting her make it to another merge. Like if they become close, they're going to be like, oh, we saw what you did. We are not taking you to another merge with us.
Word gets around at this beach, clearly. So everyone's having these conversations. It's not going to take, rocket science to be like, oh my God, Emily's telling everybody something different. Like all of our secrets, all of our things that we're telling Emily, she's then repeating to somebody else that I'm talking about. Like that would not be a good person to bring with you long term.
And I know Chrissy canceled her subscription, but does no one else have HBO Max on this beach? Because I don't understand how this Angelina Mike White thing is just flying under the radar, especially for Flippin. She's smart. Why in the world would you keep these trio together? Because it was obvious as soon as these 3 linked up, they were back to old times. And granted, they didn't necessarily work with each other on their season. Mike and Angelina kind of did, but there was sort of some weird tiptoeing around each other at points with them. but they're still obviously close outside of the game, Mike White and Angelina in particular.
Very close.
So
yeah.
why would you keep that in? I just don't understand, because this is sheer numbers. There's a trio on one side, there's a duo on the other. Ozzy's kind of floating around, able to be grabbed by either side, and then it's you, Miss Flippin'. So why wouldn't you try to take the other side out? And by the way, it's kind of easy to sell to Christian after the fact if you vote out Angelina. It's like, hey, dude, look, we couldn't let the trio in the game. I want to be your number one. I don't want your allegiance to be with her. I don't want you to default back into your Survivor ways of old, your old castmates. I don't want that. I want to work with you. So I thought the best way I could work with you is to get out Angelina. And I think of all people, Christian actually would have bought that argument. And I think he would have been okay with it. Sometimes you see players try to do that. Like, oh no, I want to vote out your other ally so I can be your ally. And that goes south. But in this situation, I don't really see the harm.
No, I was going to say the same thing. If you're Emily and Christian's your number one, why wouldn't you want to take out somebody who it's an obvious, like, oh gosh, Christian could be now working with Angelina and Mike White. I need to rope him back closer to me if you really wanted to repair that thing. But I thought she was going to go in a different direction. And her own confessionals were suggesting that she wanted to be this, you said it, Ozzy was the free agent on this tribe. It looked to me like she wanted to rope in Ozzy. It's like, me and you are now the new Christian. I have replaced Christian.
Mike, she's always wanted to work with him. She's always wanted to work with him.
Exactly. And this is her perfect opportunity. The issue is she handled it so bad. She's like, if you really wanted to work with Ozzy, you wouldn't tell everyone else on the beach everything out in the open. Like, that's not how because now you're trying to work with everybody, and you can't work with everybody on a 7-person beach. It's impossible.
Like,
literally
I just don't understand what the game plan was. The entire time, it was shifting by the seam of her pants. And for someone that's allegedly as smart as she is and played her season in kind of this, like, I'd say like new era analytics way, where like you almost discount the human emotion a bit. And I think Flippin is one of those players that like doesn't totally have a grasp on that at all times. Like, here's a perfect example. When she's telling Angelina everyone wanted to vote her out on the other tribe, she's saying in kind of a deadpan way where has no emotion. She's not saying like, this is terrible, I need to tell you this. She's not selling it at all. She's saying it like as a matter of fact thing. And that just doesn't really work, especially when you're trying to get someone on your side. You want to show sympathy to that person. You don't want to just say, oh yeah, they just didn't really mess with you very much. Like, oh yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, she gives her all the information, but then even Angelina's like, I just met this girl. I'm still more open to working with Christian and Mike White. That just kind of furthers her emphasis of, okay, I need these David versus Goliath people really bad because Q and Stephanie do not want to work with me. So all that did was kind of solidify what she already, not really knew. She wasn't that, aware of how bad they wanted her out, but she obviously knew she wanted to work with Christian and Mike White. That was kind of like, they have a working relationship. I guess, again, not really Christian much more so, but it's not like Emily was trying to ingratiate herself. It's like, we need to work together. She was kind of just telling her all this information bluntly, just spilling it out, but not really, what did it benefit Emily's game at all?
No, there was no strategy behind any of the information spilling. It was almost just like she got excited and she like wanted people to know that she knew stuff. Like she was like a middle schooler. I just heard something like some hot gossip like that. I think she just like wanted people to know that like I have these relationships and I have this information. Like, and she felt cool in that moment presenting this information. But like I don't think there was anything strategic that she was even hoping to gain from any of these conversations.
No, she's trying to get to the cool kids table, and the cool kids were like, who the hell is this? So that was kind of Flippin's outcome, and we'll circle back in a little bit, but I want to circle over to the Sela tribe now, because this has one of my favorite moments of the new era. I ate this up. So this Rizzo and Charlie dynamic is just so bizarre. So, Mike, I have a question. If something shitty happened in your life in the first time we met, would you want me to bring that up?
No, I would hope that you didn't bring it up. Actually, maybe
kind of a weird icebreaker, huh?
Yeah, maybe we'll get to that later, but not on the first. Hey, by the way, what happened? That PTSD that you suffered. Let's talk about that. Like immediately.
Nice to meet you. Man, it sucks when your house burnt down, huh?
Yeah. If that was someone's first conversation to Spo, I would be, no, I don't want to talk about that immediately. No, let's hold off on that a little bit.
Yeah, so Rizzo immediately brings up how Charlie lost his season in the fashion he did, which is by one vote, and how his number one ally didn't vote for him at the end, which, not how I would go about things, but sure. It seems like at first that Charlie isn't fazed by this. He thinks it's kind of funny, and him and Rizzo are kind of building a bond. But then we get Charlie's confessional. Welcome to the show, Charlie. And he's talking about how yesterday Rizzo kind of deteriorated this relationship before it got started. And we
It
get
was
this
over.
cutaway. And look, Survivor cutaways 9 out of 10 times kind of suck. This one was S tier, just unbelievable, one of the best of all time. And it's kind of this fireside chat where Rizzo is talking about his season. Like, who'd you really connect with from your season, Rizzo? And he talks about our girl Sophie, Blue Sophie. And they're like, oh, like, how'd that work? How did the final work there? He's like, oh, I voted for Savannah instead.
What?
What?
But it
Like,
wasn't the
you
same.
couldn't
Though.
even
It
lied
wasn't-
about that?
He said I could shed a tear that she made the final 3. I was so happy for her. It's like, oh, well, certainly you voted for her then. It's like, no, I actually didn't. It's like, oh no, that was one of the. No,
Like-
that was one of the rare, like, oh my god, this flashback was hilarious. Because
All
normally
the lying he did, Mike, on 49, all this like preposterous things he was setting out into the universe that festered, it actually worked. He was just lying for the sake of lying at points, just to see how people would react.
he should
For
have
him to tell the truth about this. And he kind of started with a lie. Like, yes, him and Sophie are very close, but he's just as close with Savannah, right? So he kind of tells like a half truth here, but he doesn't finish the job. Like, you can't be that unaware if you're Rizzo.
I thought he was doing a good job, and then they got the flashback. I was like, oh no, why would he? He immediately tells Charlie, because again, we got to do this chronologically here. We're seeing it in real time as he tells Charlie all the information on the hammock, but then rewind like 13 hours. The Charlie thing is immediately done. So you can't even like go about working with Charlie because obviously he's scorned from the Maria thing. His number one did not vote for him in the end. So the first impression he's getting of Rizzo is, oh yeah, I didn't vote for my closest ally in the game at the end. And like that was like immediately like, oh no, that's horrible. And then we obviously find out later he wants to work with Charlie. It's like, oh, this is perfect. But it's like, oh no, it's maybe dead on arrival.
I think of all the like reasons to be targeted at this point in the game, not wanting to be a jury member because you have PTSD from something prior has to be kind of up there.
That's
And
hilarious.
to be honest, look, we've kind of clowned Joe for his Duro paranoia, and deservedly so. I think this is kind of justified if you're Charlie. Like, what's the point of working with someone and kind of working in tandem and doing everything together if they're just going to turn around and not help you when it matters most? I actually think there's some merit to that, to be honest.
Absolutely, there's merit to it. Jury votes are, at the end of the game, it's cost people games. Like, you can play a great, strategic social game. If you don't get the votes at the end, for whatever reason, I mean, again, Charlie's season, it was Q throws a vote out because Kenzie needed the money more. Maria is just straight up bitter. He just didn't get the votes, and he played the best game that season. So whatever the reason is, I don't even care what it is. Rizzo gave him the slightest reason, and if you give him an inch, he's gonna take a mile. Like, you can't give him any reason to want to vote you out. This was obviously a reason to not have you on a jury if you're gonna not vote for your closest ally, which of course is what Rizzo told everybody. I thought this would have been a perfect time for Rizzo to just lie. Either say Savannah, which wouldn't even be really a lie, or just say, okay, well, who'd you vote for then? Be like, yeah, I voted for Sophie. They don't know. They can't watch it until 8 months later, whatever it is. So I would have just lied here.
Yeah, me too. And Theo, I want to get your thoughts on this because I thought before this moment, I was really digging the Rizzo game. Like,
Yeah.
he was a little annoying at times, but it seemed almost endearing. Everyone seemed charmed by him. And I think people finally are starting to put the pieces together why he's on 50. He's not this like strategic mastermind. He's not this comp god. It's just good TV. So I think in a way that's a little bit less threatening as far as an unknown quantity is concerned. But this was kind of a terrible gaffe on his part.
Yeah, I really didn't like this for either of them. Like, I understand why Charlie was like so scorned. But this is like the first that we're seeing of him on the season, and it was just like he is so scorned, and I'm just like not sure he's gonna be able to put his best foot forward. But in that, yeah, I also just hated the move from Rizzo. That's an easy thing to just lie about. Nobody's seen your season.
Yeah, I hated the move. I actually liked the idea of when Rizzo was giving us his confessional of like, okay, I've got all this information. Who should I tell? I was like, Charlie would be a good person to tell. We've gotten nothing of Charlie so far. We don't know if he's close with anyone on Kalo. So this would have been an interesting working relationship to see how it would have worked out. Little did we know it had no chance because of the night prior, and I thought that was really the worst move we've seen from Rizzo so far through 2 seasons. We've gotten, again, maybe there is some jet lag here. You just played 9 days ago, so you're kind of just, spitting things out that you probably shouldn't be saying. I think if maybe he had a redo, he would not have gone about that way.
Yeah, if I'm him, maybe I just say the person I was close to was Savannah. Doesn't matter now. She's off the island. Who cares?
That would have been perfect.
And
My
I
only
guess
question is
the fear from him is because Savannah was on a tribe with Suri and Devin. I assume the reason he tried to like have his cake and eat it too here is because he didn't know what Savannah said. So I think he was trying to play both sides of the fence where he was like close with Savannah, not close with Savannah, just in case like she spilled anything to them. He didn't want it to come back and hurt him that way. So in that regard, I kind of understand what he was trying to do, but I just thought he went about it in the worst way possible. I want to get to this Dee and Jonathan confrontation here because look, we're doing the same song and dance again. The man, I love Suri, but gimmick that just seems to happen constantly.
It's always a but.
And I didn't know Dee and Jonathan had any kind of relationship here. We didn't see that prior on Kalo, but here they link up again. Maybe they were just, friendly with each other, and now they realize, like, hey, we are technically in the power position because there are 4 members from that former tribe now linked together. So perhaps they think if we stay Kalo strong, we kind of have the pick of the litter here between Suri, Devins, and Rizgod. And so Dee and Jonathan are kind of hell-bent on getting out Suri. And Dee even references a conversation she has at home where she was like, hey, look, we know what Suri is. One of my friends even said, like, you're going to be charmed by Suri. You have to get her out. You have to see through her mist, which I've said numerous times on this podcast. She's an amazing player. I don't understand why you just wouldn't get her out immediately because it's just easier not to deal with it. We saw it on Heroes versus Villains, but that's it. Every other show she's been on, she's just charmed everyone and skated her way by. And so this was the first time where I thought we got a real serious anti-Suri brigade starting to brew. Because granted, Charlie has this rift with Rizzo, but I think Charlie is kind of aware of how Suri operates. And I think if Dee and Jonathan proposed this to him, he could go that way. And we damn sure know Camilla would be a little bit skeptical of someone like Suri who kind of plays opposite of her in a way, but they're so respected as women, like fierce women trying to get what they want. I just don't see how they could ever possibly mesh. So there's a real anti-Suri thing, bro, and Mike. This is your gal. Like you go to bat for her more than probably anyone, including Jared. So I want to hear your analysis here on what you thought about this anti-Suri sentiment starting to brew.
Yeah, still not worried. Not worried at all. We got this in episode 1 of this anti-Suri, brewing.
Really fake, though, you have to admit.
Yeah, but then again, what do we see on one of the very first scenes in episode 3 tonight? Who is suddenly the new 3? Emily, see you later. We're going to tell Suri about the Boomerang Idol before you. So Suri's already suddenly with Devins and Christian. That's how much they want to tell Suri things. Ozzy tells Suri everything in episode 1 and 2 about his idol, about his advantage, everything. So Suri has all the information. As always, people just want to tell her things. So I, again, will have no concern about Suri on this tribe. If she works with Camilla, I wouldn't put it past her. I really wouldn't. I think Suri can work with any single person on this beach. I think she can rope in Charlie. I think Rizzo might get misted by Suri. I would not rule Suri out of any scenario. Yeah, this Dee and Jonathan thing, they're working together for now because they aren't losing challenges. They were obviously on the power try with Kayla, which I thought would never lose a challenge. Now they're on Sela. Sela doesn't lose a challenge. So they don't have to go to tribal. But if they do, I think that absolutely you're going to be like, yeah, Dee's a winner. I think everyone else will come up and be like, hey, Rizzo's an unknown. There are enough threats on this beach to not just look at Suri. And there was enough threats on Sela's beach, the old Sela, that Suri was able to dodge some bullets. So once again, Suri's always an early target if they are to lose a challenge, and yet Suri always is able to, work her way out of things. She has an extra vote. So my stock is still sky high with Suri. I have no issues of her, integrating herself with some other people.
Dee and Jonathan, that was the only kind of working relationship that we saw on this beach. So I do think the things that they are planning is like those things have merit for now. Like you're right, there's a lot that could happen between now and the time that the tribe that has Jonathan on it loses an immunity challenge.
Right, TBD.
Yeah, so a lot could happen. Like she could obviously make inroads. That's what she does. She's Suri. But for now, like I think, yeah, if they went to tribal tomorrow, I think she should be in some trouble.
Suri's in trouble. Maybe Suri's in trouble tomorrow. Yeah.
Can I bring something up? Do you think Jonathan should throw one of these? Isn't this getting a little preposterous at this point? Like how much of a certainty it is if he is playing for your team, you are winning. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a puzzle. It could be balancing. It could be strength. It literally just simply doesn't matter at this point. Jonathan is winning a competition. So if you're him, everyone else has to know this at this point, right? And you have to be aware that everyone else knows this. So why not just throw one and look a little weak in something instead of being Superman all the time? I would just take a day off if I was him.
My caution to that would be it's still way too early to do that. Like teams have tried this before. They've thrown a challenge, and it always comes back to haunt that tribe that threw a challenge so early. If it's something
Usually.
like if it's something like right before the merge starts, and you want to throw a challenge because you don't want someone on the merge, you don't want someone to kind of make their way to. But it's so early to throw a challenge with the numbers where they are. It wouldn't make sense to kind of.
Well, speaking of the numbers and where they are, there's still 20 people on this show right now. Like, look, we're skipping ahead here, but how is this happening? And I don't get how we are going to whittle this down to 3 people by day 26. Is there going to be a lot of double, maybe even a triple elimination one week? Is there going to be some medevacs? Like, what is happening? Are we secretly in a 39-day season? Even so, we'd still be behind schedule.
We're on like
Did either of you have any idea what's happening here?
No, that's what I was.
gonna
As
ask you the
soon
same
as after the swap, like Jeff said, that's it for the day, and I was like, we're gonna get to that was day 6, right? And there was 2 people that had gone home. Well, two tribal eliminations and 1 medevac. I was like, we need to be at a person a day pace almost. And there's only so many episodes. Like we now need to start doing 2 eliminations an episode. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, do the fans vote on the number of days? Like, I wonder, is that going to be revealed like at the end where Jeff's going to be like, oh wait, yeah, actually, you're here for 2 more weeks. But even then,
Wouldn't that have been leaked by now, though?
I mean, yeah, you would think that if it's day 26 and Jeff says, surprise, we're playing 13 more days, like that would be known information eventually.
There's people that would have eyes on like how long production was there. Like, yeah.
Well, here's my other thing too for this conversation. I don't think any of us have looked at the like real life production schedule either, as far as like how many episodes are in the season. So we don't know technically how long the season lasts. I don't think any of us have looked this up. I guess we could, right? I'm sure people are frantically typing in the comments, but I mean, what are we going to do? Like, are we just going to have 2 comps a day? Are we going to do like, I can already tell you one of the gimmicks. We're going to do the split tribe thing post merge where we get like 2 separate factions of people to cause some chaos. That's a given. We might even get 2 of those at this point based off numbers. Just no way we can rationalize how this is going to get down to 3 people by day 26. There's not a single way we can possibly think about this.
What if they merge at 15 people and then they merge at 16 people, they have a vote off, and then at 15 they do the thing where they unmerge again. They go back to tribal format.
Well, that's even the other point, because let's say for the next few episodes, we get 2 vote outs each, right? We'd still be like a month away from a merge, like a traditional like 10 to 12 person merge. So how many episodes are we going to have in the season? Is this just going to go to summer? Like, I just don't understand.
No, that would be my thing. Like, what if they do a thing where there's 3 tribes of 5, but there's tribal immunity, so one person gets individual immunity on all 3 tribes, and they have 3 vote offs in the same episode. We're looking at a pace where they have to have 3 vote offs in one episode. Like, we're actually creeping into that territory, or at least multiple double elimination episodes where it's the same day and they get voted. We have 3 people gone the same day, whether it's 2 vote outs and a medevac or something. There's too many people. There's still 20 people left, and we're heading into the 4th episode. It makes no sense.
It's because it's a landmark season, like it's 50. Like we saw at 40, like they wanted to give everyone as much airtime as possible. So they created Exile. They're like, we're going to keep all these people around, keep giving them camera time. So I don't even think they're like, if it was a like regular season, like maybe they do some weird gimmick where people like get out without getting voted out. Like, I don't know, you draw rocks and someone just goes home. But like, I don't think we're getting that on this like returner season. That's season 50. So I don't know how we're getting rid of all these people.
Are we going to have a final 7? Forget the final 3.
I mean, we might. In part of the problem already is we're just forgetting the gimmicks we've put in the game. Guys, remember Exile? Remember that was cool for
1 episode?
We haven't been back. We've been once. Remember that journey that paid dividends? We haven't done that again, even though that really shook up the game and literally caused an elimination tonight. Like, we haven't been doing that. So it seems like hands of the fans is really hands of the production. We get that, but we're always trying to stuff too many artificial things into one season where now we're just losing track. Like, we wanted the biggest season of all time, but now we're over a week into the game in Survivor time, and we still have 20 people left. We want to have an Exile Island, but we've only been once. We want to have Journey still, but we've only had one.
We want to have Journey? I don't.
Air quotes we, yeah. this seems so half-baked to me. This seems like we're trying to do so many different things that we're actually forgetting the purpose of this is Survivor 50. This is the first returning season in 10 seasons, okay? And this is a stacked cast. This is a really, really good cast. And we have some dead weight. We do. But for the most part, I'm really enjoying this season, and I just feel we're losing some momentum because we're trying to vote people out in a quick succession, which we know is inevitable. We're supposed to have an Exile Island. We've only been once. We're supposed to still have journeys and shot in the dark and all this like new era stuff, but we're not really talking about it. I only know that there's shot in the dark still because I saw Savannah's uh post game, we'll call it, interview when she got casted off last week on like Good Morning America or something. That's not how I should find out. Like I should find out from you,
Yes.
CBS Survivor.
You should tell.
So he's just kind of annoying to me.
I'm with you. I don't know where we're headed with this. My guess is he just wanted to have single elimination episodes for the first few so that we see everybody on our screens a little bit longer than we did in Winners at War, like you said, Theo. But my guess is we have to start ratcheting up the double eliminations here. Like we have to. There's no other. There's only 26 days. That's what's in the clause. I mean, I think there's only 26 days, and if there is, we're gonna need some double eliminations like now.
Before we move on, I want to ask the question: would you have preferred a smaller cast and maybe try to get like 1 to 2 bigger names, or do you prefer like really this totality cast where you get like so many different types of people from all across the spectrum?
I would have been fine with the number of people on the cast if they had gotten like bigger. Like I think even with 24 people, I'm like they missed some really big ones. Like it's already a big cast, but they still missed. Like it was a tough cut. Obviously, there's a few cuts that were like really tough. I think even Jeff Probst said once we got down to like 50 or 60, it's like, oh my gosh, we still have a long way to go. So I'm fine with 24. But if you wanted to trim it and do like 2 returnee seasons, like mega packed, but like 50 in like a later season, so you save some of these guys, like save some bullets. Like I thought Savannah and Rizzo, maybe again, we'll see with Rizzo, but like 49 and then coming back 9 days later, I think for both of them is like a really tough task. Like I think I would have preferred both of them to come back on a different season. That way everyone knows their games. Maybe they can adjust themselves. And then for other people too, I thought we got not a lot of filler, but there's a few people I'm like, okay, we could have maybe saved them for a different mega season.
At 24 started. This is a lot to keep up with. Like I almost would have preferred a smaller cast and we just see a little more of everybody.
Yeah, me too. And I think it would have just flowed a little bit better and we wouldn't have so many of these questions. But my big gripe, just don't really like wasting 3 winners. I really don't. I would have preferred having the 3 winners on a season where the winning element could have been part of the gimmick. Because I'm a very staunch proponent of not having like 3 or 4 returners on an all newbie season of anything, or having like a few winners like this on a season full of people that haven't won before. I just think that we don't really get to see who rises to the top because you're put at such a insurmountable disadvantage from out of the gates. I would have just liked to wait till we'll call it like Survivor 56, so like 3 or 4 more years, and then you do a fans versus favorite 3 with half winners, half fans, or you do like recent winners versus like the best who've never won. Like you get like Kelly Wentworth, you get Sari maybe if she doesn't do 50. But if she does do 50, you can get someone like, Camilla, who I think would have been kind of more interesting in a season like that compared to where she is right now. And she's been great. I really, really like Camilla. I just would have liked to see more of her. And that's kind of my problem because she's shining when she's on the screen. We just barely see her. Same with Genevieve. She was kind of a focal point for like a week and a half of television, and then she's kind of slipped through the cracks. If we're not letting those people be prominent characters that they deserve to be, then why couldn't they have been on a future returnee season that, could have shown them in a more prominent light?
Yeah, we could have got way more confessionals of these people that you mentioned. We're barely getting confessionals with Camilla. We've barely gotten confessionals of Tiffany. Charlie prior to today, barely got anything of him. Genevieve, like we could have gotten these newer era players. I know they want to focus more on the older players because again, the older players were out so early at Winners at War. But even Colby Donaldson, we only got one confessional from Colby Donaldson today, and it was him reminiscing about how Coach kind of dominated him on the Heroes versus Villains challenge. So yeah, there's not enough. It's too many people left to fit everyone in at an adequate time.
So I looked it up because I was curious. The finale is May 20th. So we still have over 2 months left of television. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Maybe
Like, still doesn't match up,
an
but
episode a day. I mean, I'm just
it
trying to.
goes way, way beyond what I thought here. But I want to go now in a different direction because we were talking about how annoying things are right now. Chrissy Hoffbeck was told she was annoying by Coach,
Yeah.
which kind of gave us flashbacks to Heroes versus Villains of Tyson doing one of my favorite moments in the history of the show, talking about, just don't wear your feathers and all that fun stuff. Coach kind of did that version to Chrissy, where he's like, hey, Chrissy, like, this has got to stop. You're doing way too much of this talking. No, as he said. And Chrissy just breaks down, which, look, we made fun of some of the Survivor breakdowns. This is one I kind of understand, and she mentions it because on her last season, she wasn't necessarily beloved. And then she goes through this personal tragedy of having this very tough cancer diagnostic and have to undergo various life-changing surgeries. And now to be told, she's annoying again, that's tough. That's tough for anybody. So I felt bad. And the way she was annoying is kind of like an annoying family member, right? Where they truly mean well. It's just a little bit too much nagging. It's a little bit much, right? So she's not inherently doing anything wrong per se. She's just laying it on a bit too thick in this motherly role. But it seemed like, in a rare Survivor instance, she actually understood what Coach was saying, which you never get from these encounters. Usually, the person on the receiving end somehow turns that back on the other person, despite them just being the messenger. Chrissy did not feel that way here. She actually seemed to think this furthered the bond with Coach, where Coach was kind of sticking his neck out for her. And because of this, it seems like that bond is really strong. And now we have this alliance on Kalo, which seems to be Chrissy, Coach, Colby, and Joe. A very weird quartet, if you do say so myself. And then Genevieve, I'd say, kind of a satellite member. So they have seemingly 5, but Aubrey has the idol, and then Tiffany kind of shared the information that Aubrey was on the bottom of this tribe prior to this. So it seems like a war is breaking out. Chrissy is scorned, but she's back on her feet, ready to do Coach and Joe and Colby's bidding. And then on the other side, we have Tiffany, who I guess just got on the island because I haven't seen her in a few weeks. So nice of her to arrive. Yeah, Aubrey with the idol. So what did you make of this Kalo Beach? We didn't get much of it, Mike, but I thought there was enough here that I think this could really blow up in the incoming weeks.
I thought it was great television. I really did. I was immediately thinking back to Tyson. Don't wear feathers in your cap. Don't tell weird stories. People don't like them. Like, it's just one of those things where now Coach is on the other end of telling somebody this. And, Coach kind of broke down in Heroes Villains. He was like, he was crying. He was like, wow, okay. It was kind of like a reality check moment for him, how everyone else perceives him. And Chrissy, took it the same way. Like, she didn't immediately turn it back on Coach. It's like it looked like Coach was kind of sticking his neck out for her and telling her what the tribe's view of her was, not necessarily his view of her, but just to kind of relax a little bit. I know it's been a long time since she's been out here, but just to kind of tone it down a little bit. And she looks like she took some Coach advice from Coach. Like, she got coached a little bit here by him, and I really like that from Chrissy's standpoint. Later on in this beach, we get the Genevieve edit where it's like she's telling the same story, but it's like 3 different places on the beach. She's telling something to Joe at the water well. She's telling something to Coach down by the beach. She's telling something to Chrissy at somewhere else. It's like she's telling the same story of Aubrey's dangerous. That I thought was edited really brilliantly, and I was like, okay, Genevieve's still pushing Aubrey's name, but it does feel like this tribe, the numbers here are heavily favoring the Coach, Chrissy, now Joe, obviously. Like, that combination is really like a good working tandem, it feels like. And then the Genevieve and Aubrey thing feels like a rivalry that's going to come to a halting end here pretty soon.
When the guy who was told not to wear feathers in his cap and was a weak little man and reminded them of a little girl is telling you that you're annoying, I would just take a lap. Like, that's enough for me. I would also cry. So I don't blame Ms.
I get her
Hoffman
breaking
there.
down.
Yeah, me too. But Theo, the thing that I was most curious about here was this Coach Joe Colby dynamic. This felt like a family reunion where, like, you've been on FaceTime with these people, but you finally meet in person. It just felt like these guys were in heaven with each other. And Coach does the thing where he's like, who my favorite Survivor player is? It's Joe, because he's Mr. Honor and Integrity.
Yeah.
And that is just unreal TV. Do you think this could possibly work? Because I think the initial detraction I have is this sounds good on paper, but we know who Coach is, and we know that he actually just will not, under any circumstances, actually jive with the true honor and integrity
No.
crowd. He can pretend he does all he wants, but eventually someone's going to do something where Coach is going to say, I'm going to have to turn on you, and that is being honorable because you were dishonoring me first. So I just want to hear your thoughts on this trio and what could possibly be ahead here.
I feel like Joe and Colby were so excited because like the honor and integrity to them, they were just like, oh, like they're not sharp enough to catch up with when they're being lied to. So they just saw each other and were like, yeah, we're not going to lie to each other. So this is good. I don't have to try to clock any of that. And like Coach is always going to, if he can say the words honor and integrity and attach that to himself, he's going to do that every single time, even though I think he has no plans of remaining honorable and having integrity if he can advance himself in the game by doing something else. But I think that's what that was.
Coach's whole thing is honor and integrity. His first season in Tocantins, I want to go to the end with the strongest people. He tells it to Steven, JT, Taj, Tyson, everybody. He's like, I want to go to the end with you guys. I want to work with the strongest people in the game. That was his whole shtick until every single time we've seen him since. Like South Pacific, it was not honorable integrity. He voted out Brandon Hance after telling him, I'm not voting you out. He said, hey, Ozzy, I'm taking you to the end. I want to go to the end with the strongest. He cut Ozzy's throat at the end. Like he's heroes versus villains. Betrayed Boston Rob. Like he's not playing with honor and integrity, really, even though that's his whole shtick.
Mike, no. These people betrayed him first. You're not getting it. They betrayed him first. So therefore, he is being honorable by upstanding his own creeds. He literally said it. These are his pillars of the game. And no one exemplifies Coach's pillars of the game quite like Mr. Joe, who, as we know, just Mr. Truth Serum over there. Like, do not lie to Joe. If you lie to Joe, you're going to be on the end of some verbal screaming matches. Same with Coach. You better not lie to Coach. If he finds out you lied, good luck with that.
Like the worst thing ever you could do.
Like, I think my favorite part about this is he was barely in the episode. Coach low-key might be in the best position in this entire season right now. Is anyone doing it quite like Coach? I mean, if you think about it, he's in good with Chrissy. He's in good with Colby. He's in good with Genevieve. He's now in good with Joe. It seemed like Charlie was kind of charmed by his nonsense, right? He's in good with Jonathan. Camilla, both pregame and in reality, wanted to work with him. So they seem on the same page. And, it was a little awkward with Mike, but, I think Mike and Coach could get along. I think Coach would be great in some random resort halfway across the world where Mike White is crying, Coach is sipping pina coladas, and Coach is saying, it's okay, Mike. We're here on this beach, and, I mean, this is just the time of our lives, and I'm so happy to be here just with you, Mike White. And then he goes off and shoots, Paradise on Hulu the next season. So
I think Coach is in a good spot. I would worry that it's once again going to be one of those things where you can't be working with everybody. It's like I told Emily, we talked about this earlier with Emily. Eventually, Coach is going to have to betray somebody.
He will have to choose, but I think the difference, Mike, is he's playing it so well. He's not necessarily promising these people anything. They're almost just so enamored with him because he is a character at the end of the day, right? They're so enamored with him where they're kind of drawn to him. He's not like, oh yeah, we're final twos. We're not getting that from the edit anyway. What we're seeing is he's just kind of talking to these people and they're like, I want to work with you, Mr. Honor and Integrity. And he's dapping them up and he's like, hell yeah, honor and integrity.
He's not turning down any offers. But
and why would you?
Right, but we saw the handshake agreement with Jonathan. Wrong person. We did see him and Joe kind of like looking at each other in the mirror. It's like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to work with somebody like you. It's like same here. It's like you meet somebody the first day of college, and you're like, oh, this is my lifelong friend from here on out. It's like him and Joe have a good working relationship. That could be something that possibly is something that's interesting long term for both of them. And it kind of does go by Coach's code of working with the strongest people. Eventually, again, you have to pick a side because if he's got good working relationships with everybody, eventually he's going to have to burn somebody. So that's kind of his issue in South Pacific, where he didn't handle that part well. Heroes versus villains, kind of to a lesser degree. But I think right now he's playing it really well. But he has not gone to tribal council yet. So right now we have no idea where anyone stands as far as until you go to tribal council and put the vote on the parchment. We really don't know how well you're going to be positioning yourself long term in the game.
Can I ask something about this tribe? So did I hear right that Joe said that his wife said that he would work really well with Genevieve?
Yeah, he did say
Yes.
Based on what? Why? What is compatible about those two people?
maybe Genevieve needs a Joe, and maybe Joe likewise needs to work with someone like Genevieve. Again, I couldn't really tell you what. Hey, look.
So Joe's wife saying this about the fact that Joe and Genevieve would work well together kind of tips her hand that she's a Sacramento Kings announcer because she's used to bad compatibility all the way around. So that's what I was thinking. She's just used to bad relationships all the way around. So she's like, hey, we might as well have another one.
Because Genevieve,
you're right.
Genevieve's about to get the playing too hard accusations. Like that's coming soon.
Yeah.
It just seems like the exact opposite. It's like just someone that would make Joe extremely paranoid to have around. So I just thought
Right.
that was funny.
If you're Joe, you do not want to work with somebody that's playing too hard. Devins, last year it was like David, or not last year, 48. Like he does not really want to work with somebody who's playing overly, or if he catches somebody doing that. But he did work with people who were playing. They just weren't playing. They were playing undercover. So with Kyle and Camilla though. So I guess Genevieve has to make it like not obvious. So she can't be telling everybody everything and actively playing hard to where it looks like she's playing hard. Like Joe can diagnose. Joe and coach are like, oh my gosh, Genevieve's playing the game way too hard. Like if it's obvious, then yeah, Joe's not gonna be working with somebody like that. But if it's a little bit more undercover, I wouldn't really rule out a Genevieve Joe possible link up. I don't know.
Few final coach thoughts. I think there's enough plausible deniability at this point for coach where he's not technically saying anything to these people. Now, we've seen in the past, especially with Ozzy, that doesn't always work. But, because of the size of this cast, he can really just sit in the background and he can kind of say, well, I didn't really impact this because there's simply too many people. There's too much going on. He might not be kind of the focal point of anyone's wrath if things go awry. And then the other point is as well, all these people wanted to work with him pregame. And that's all we're seeing on TV. All we're seeing is everyone going up to him. And I mentioned that point, but I think that really bodes well to Coach's favor because the way Coach kind of has been at his best early in token chains, and then especially in South Pacific, it's when you're kind of drinking the Coach Kool-Aid and Coach is kind of like the camp counselor, if you will. And you're not even like totally noticing he's playing Survivor. You're just kind of like thinking this is Coach in real life, which again, it kind of is. But there's kind of this more like sinister thing under the layer that is propelling him to the top. I think we're getting kind of the building blocks to that. I think that's starting to happen where Coach is playing. He's acting like he's not, maybe not in the Mike White fashion, but he's acting like he's kind of, just happy and working with everybody, right? But eventually, I think this is going to start leading to a plan of his of some sort. I think he is conniving enough to have something up his sleeve.
I think the pregame working relationships is a big thing. I think it was the demise of somebody tonight. I think it's going to be the beneficiary of somebody moving forward. I think Coach is definitely one of those beneficiaries of pregame. People want to work with him pregame, so he's already in a good spot, kind of already here where somebody else is already here. Depends on how he uses this though. Like he's really has, again, not on the tribal council yet. We'll see. And again, there's so many people left. He can be a background character until it is time to kind of be like, oh wait, Coach actually is running things. So again, similar to Mike White in David versus Goliath, where you didn't really realize it until like, or just like, oh my gosh, Mike White, really good spot. So maybe similarly here, Coach can kind of, in such a large cast, he still has such a presence, but once we get down to the less people left, maybe he makes more of an impact on the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know how it's taken this long. We haven't really talked about the vote. We put it on the back burner because it was kind of the only foregone conclusion throughout this episode for me. And that is Q going home. And it sucked because Q was playing a really, really good game. And halfway through this episode, it was giving me a little bit of Tyson Heroes Blood versus Water vibes, where it was like he's kind of calling the shots, but in a way where it feels like you have a say at the same time. But he is kind of this dominant force because he's a bigger guy. He's, voice is deep and he talks with such prowess, where it felt like he was really working well with everyone and doing what he set out to do. But then the tribe swap doesn't go in his favor, and Flippin was just flat out bad. Like, there wasn't much for Q to do here because Flippin being as unreasonable as she was, with part of that is probably a pre-existing relationship with Christian that we've heard about here and that has come to the screen. But he was just kind of DOA as soon as he got on this beach when Flippin was just not playing ball. So Q is a unanimous vote out here, and almost unanimous vote out. Stephanie does have his back, but that doesn't mean much. Q goes real fast because we have some more stuff to get to. Theo, I want to hear your thoughts on Q's gameplay because he was the last pick in our draft. Mike reluctantly picked him last and tried to spin it that he was happy about it. But regardless,
I was.
he went last kind of for this exact reason. We were like, hey, Q, awesome guy, like really funny character, which is kind of too blunt, too much of a loudmouth, like he's going to rub someone the wrong way. And it didn't necessarily unfold like that, but it was still kind of his too big of personality that got him in trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if he could have done like anything differently, and I'm just not sure he could have. Like he got to this beach with no vote because he lost his vote in a bad twist, and then there was a already established threesome that everyone just kind of acknowledged and like decided there was nothing they could do about it. They kind of just were like, "Yep, those three are working together." They threw their hands up. I thought he tried. Like, I thought his conversation with Mike, I was like, he's trying. Like, I don't think it's gonna work, but like, I don't know. I can't really fault Q for anything he did on this season. Besides that, maybe he
I'm
should
trying
have
to
fought
find
Ozzy
some.
for the
I
vote.
thought that
but-
Q. Yeah, no, I thought this is the thing. He lost his vote, and that was maybe his detriment in this game. I don't think the downfall of his game was him being too blunt. Really, I thought it was. We did see a little bit of the old Q, which is like, okay, this is kind of why people are turned off by Q a little bit. But I don't think that was really the reason why he went home. Like, I thought the reason why he went home was because he got on a tribe with 3 automatic votes that were already locked together. He himself has no vote, so the best that you can do now is get to 3 votes if Emily and Ozzy and Stephanie are with him. And ultimately, no idol can save Q because, like we said, Ozzy can only play that idol for himself. So even his Ozzy relationship, which was good, it looked like it was good. It's not like Ozzy can actually save him with that idol. Obviously, he gave his extra vote away to Cerise, so it's not like Q could have done anything differently that would have changed the outcome of this tribe swap. Like, he was in a bad spot on the beach immediately. I thought he was working well with Emily when he hit the ground running, but Emily had a really bad episode, and it bounced back on Q because no one wants to vote Emily out right now. She's working with Christian. Q isn't. So, yeah.
The whole season, he was swinging people to work with him. He was just kind of unwork-withable because he couldn't vote.
Couldn't vote. That was ultimately his. I thought ultimately him negotiating and losing his vote. I didn't think it would cost him because I thought he would be on the Vatu beach when he got to not vote instead of a beach where he's got nobody besides Stephanie. So ultimately that really hurt him. The tribe swap sucked. Him not having a vote sucked.
Can I be honest? Don't think it mattered. Think he was screwed either way. If he had a vote, if he didn't have a vote, I think he was screwed. I really don't think he could have done anything differently. I think that's the answer. I think his only move, which wouldn't have made sense and is kind of the opposite of what you're supposed to do, was kind of suck up to like a Christian, almost fanboy over him. Be like, hey, I didn't watch a ton of Survivor because Q's admitted numerous times that he not really a huge fan of the show. He's more of a fan of when he's on the show. But regardless, he could have maybe tried to do the like, hey, I actually watched your season. Like, I really liked you. Like, I'd love to work with you. Loved White Lotus season 2 before we got the weird incest stuff later seasons. Whatever. That could have worked perhaps. He went for the proper approach, which is, hey, you see those 3 people working together. Why wouldn't we try to get them out? Regardless, because of this trio from David versus Goliath, and because Flippin was flipping and flopping and refused to commit, didn't matter if he had a vote or not, because it was 4 against 3 or 4 against 2, whatever the numbers were going to be. Q was going to be the minority every time.
Best case was 3-3, yeah. I'm trying to do some revisionist history, like, could there have been something? Because, again, I'm not going to do the thing where it's like, oh, I got stuck with Q. It's like, I didn't really want him. Like, no, I wanted Q on my team. So I'm not going to play that card where it's like, woe is me. Like, I did think Q was an upside play here. I'm thinking, had he possibly done what Ozzy did and say, I need the extra
Mike,
vote.
it's not, hold on. It's not like you picked the guy. He was the last pick that you were given.
No, I know. I was stuck with him, but I'm not taking the approach of, oh, I was stuck with him. I actually did want him on my team. Like, I was hoping you took Angelina.
You
I
wanted him
Q.
so bad you didn't pick him in the first 7 rounds.
Right, but I also didn't have a pick until the last, like, the last 5 picks you guys had. I was, because the snake draft, I was stuck with Jenna's. And then
You were reading the board is what you're trying to say.
I thought Q could possibly be there at the end. Yeah, I thought maybe I could have him. I didn't take him earlier. I don't know. But the point is, I'm not going to say I was stuck with Q because I actually did want him on my team. I'm thinking day one, had he done what Ozzy did, said, I need that extra vote. If Q actually did have an extra vote tonight, that would have been 4 votes. It would have been him, Stephanie, his next vote, and Ozzy. And then they would have possibly been able to control the vote. I guess Ozzy would not have a vote in this case. So, yeah, there really was nothing he could do. I mean, it sucks because him and Ozzy went on exile, and one of them had to lose a vote, and then they rekindle on this Vatu beach. But again, one of them doesn't have a vote. So it's really nothing you could do. I know Ozzy had the extra vote, but he doesn't have it in his possession because he gave it to Sari. So yeah, no, there was really nothing. It was out of Q's control, really. And yeah, it's a bummer because it was really Emily's bad gameplay that kind of got him out of the game. And not even really his mouth. Like I thought, even if he said nothing, I think Mike White was voting for Q instead of Stephanie. So him saying, "Hey, vote for me," it wasn't like they weren't going to do that already. They were already going to do that. So it's not like he really sunk his own ship. Even though we did see a little bit of that, hey, put it on me thing again. He did it in 6. He did it again tonight.
Mike having a tough time looking back at the draft here.
I'm fine with you.
He had Jenna, who's gone, Sayonara, and then he also had Q. So tough few weeks for the back end of Mike's board here. Just not shaping out the way he wanted it to go.
No, I'm not down on Q's game. I still think that I thought he'd be an early boot, but he wasn't an early boot for the reasons that I thought he would be. He got on a bad tribe swap. It was kind of
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Just the facts are the facts. At the end of the day, he still ended up
right
kind of where we thought he was. There's only one of us who has been unscathed so far. That is me, because Theo got a little hosed with the Kyle medevac there. So
Savannah,
just peeking in the draft. I'm trying to go back to back here.
We did a good job though. Our vote outs, they were all the last 6 picks.
Yeah, the back end.
All the
back
vote
end.
outs have come. So we were.
Savannah
was
your last pick, right?
Yeah, that was my last pick.
It was your last pick. Q was my last pick. I think Angelina was your last pick, and she possibly could have been going tonight if it wasn't for a working relationship. So it's like, yeah, we might have nailed the later part of the draft, but Jenna.
Well, even the beginning, that means we nailed the beginning as well, because those people have been the most unscathed for the most part. So
yeah, Kyle
just
Kyle was just unlucky.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count. You can't predict injury in sports all the time. Like I always say that if a guy's a bust only because he's hurt, like it doesn't really count. Greg Oden, who knew chronic foot problems would last forever.
Well, who has Colby? Because Colby looked like he might have got concussed tonight. I don't know. Hopefully
that would be.
I don't want Colby to get medevaced.
We did have Colby. That's Theo. Theo's stuck with Colby. He was selling them during the draft.
I did. Yeah, I did sell people on Colby. Yeah. I think he's playing a good game.
But sorry for the victory lap, everyone. But you know what time it is? It's buying and selling time. There's a stock up. There's a stock down. We're not going to do each tribe this week. We're only going to do one per before we start wrapping this up a little bit here. So we're going to start with Mike here. Mike, give me your stock up. Whose stock has risen the most?
Ozzy's he's going to be the consistent answer for me. I think he's getting better and better each episode, despite having not won a challenge yet. That's the whole thing. His tribes keep losing. I think it's actually good for him. It's a different way. He's used to dominating these challenges. I still think he's doing really good in the challenges, so I'm going to still put a feather in my cap for that. But his team is losing every single time. Credit to Ozzy. If you had told me last week, me and Theo did this last week, I thought, okay, Emily still has Ozzy's name in her mouth. She wants Ozzy gone for really no reason other than it's a big move. Now turned 180. She wants to work with Ozzy. I think his target's getting smaller. I think his relationships are expanding. I never would have thought Ozzy would be able to kind of crack the genius 3 that was Emily, Devins, and Christian. And, somehow he did, thanks to Emily's paranoia of Christian. So he's able to kind of make some inroads now. He's on a different try without Sari. I think he's doing fine. I would like for him to have the extra vote, but he still has an idol. And I think he's got all the information at his disposal. I think he's in a better spot than I would have predicted going into the season.
You're going to be the intro to his OnlyFans pretty soon, the way you keep acting. Anyway, Theo, your turn. Whose stock is the highest right now?
Yeah, I think Jonathan's going up again. He's been so dominant physically, but then to actually, I think, be in a powerful social position on this tribe after a swap was kind of surprising to see. But yeah, I think he's in one of the best spots in the game right now. But really, the only concern is that his threat level is getting too high too early.
It's a Lotus. I got Mike White. I thought this was a great Mike White episode because, as we've talked about previously, he was doing the kind of grandpa's on vacation gimmick, but we knew deep down that he wants to win this season. I thought finally he kind of revealed some of his cards. He wasn't super deliberate about it, but regardless, we saw that kind of gamer Mike White, the best game player on David vs. Goliath, a season filled with them. I think he kind of showed up. He's like, this is who I am. Not to mention, he's ripped. Did you know he was ripped? They show his six-pack all the time. I'm doing crunches every day just to try to get to that level. Regardless, my guy Mike White, I think, is in a great spot because he still has enough of that like grandpa charm that is kind of wooing these people into thinking he's not dangerous, but he is freaking dangerous, man. And the fact that he has this kind of physical side now and could be a competitor in some of these individual immunity comps that are kind of on the horizon, I think there's something there with him, and I think, look, he has a real chance to get to the end. Would they vote for him because of his financial situation? I don't know, but I would consider it a win if he got to the end, especially, if he just punted the win like he did last time. I don't think he will. I think he wants the title, but regardless, I want
Totally
to hear
flipped
the
that
flip.
vote onto Q, by the way.
Yeah. He was masterful about it too, the way he did it, where he was like, "You told me to do it. Sorry." And he was very subtle about it as well, where he's like, "Look, you're working with Flippin." He understood that Flippin and Christian had a connection. They need Ozzy around to compete in these challenges despite him not winning one yet, right?
He's just
So
been so good though. They have to keep him around.
yeah, there's no need to get rid of Stephanie. They kind of know each other, right? So you might as well get out Q. And he actually, backtracking a little bit, he talked about how him and Ozzy are actually friends, like outside of the island.
Met at a bar, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think clearly there's something there with Mike White and all the connections he's making throughout his journey. But I do want to get to the flip side, Mike, whose stock is just cratering.
Well, I want to quickly mention that thank you for pointing out that he and Ozzy do have a working relationship. That's another stock up for me on Ozzy. So thank you for adding that in there. I forgot about that. Appreciate that. That was also another part of the episode we got. So stock down. I mean, if we're all going to go Emily here, I could just. I mean, it's Emily. I mean, that was a really
Okay.
really
We'll do the Emily thing and then we'll choose someone else. How about that?
Okay.
So,
Perfect. So
Yeah,
start
you
with
can
Emily or
have
go somewhere
Emily.
else.
yeah,
You can
we'll
have
start
Emily.
with Emily because a few weeks ago, I did the thing. I came on here after the first episode and I looked in this camera and I said, I think actually has something to her is this Miss Flippin.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she has something where she's throwing people's names out subtly, but she then kind of works her way into an alliance, but she's still cool with Sari, and Sari's cool with Ozzy. So it seems like she's covering all her bases. And since that moment, it's been just a downward spiral for her. And again, I keep bringing it up. She's supposed to be like the second smartest person on this entire beach. She's just simply not acting like it, especially from a game standpoint. And today, it really came to a crescendo where she's just losing her mind. She doesn't know what's going on. She's like falsely thinking that Christian giving her that information last second is such a big deal, and then quickly backtracks on that moments later, but only after she causes all this damage. Like, what are we doing? So, yeah, any other flipping thoughts, Theo? I know you had one there.
She just handled it so poorly. I just don't see how. Like, she's someone that needs to be working with other people to advance in this game, and I don't see who's gonna want to do that anymore.
Yeah, she didn't play that way in 45, where she's been a swing vote before, but she's handled herself much better as like the swing vote. She didn't tell every single person everything. She was able to kind of keep some information to herself and use it to her advantage whenever she wanted to. In this case, she looked like a newbie player. I mean, she caused all that destruction of really Christian's game. And then it was like, oh wait, Christian, you want to rekindle something here? I just told everybody all your plans that you did with Aubrey and Devins, what you did there. You didn't clue me in on time, so I kind of blew up your spot. That's not a working relationship that has much grounds to stand on anymore, even though they may have to rekindle it. So no, I thought that was just handled so poorly. Everything about it was really handled poorly. From her situation with Christian with the not telling the information part to the part where she feels like Steph and Q are directing the conversation, but that's also because they were on the same beach together. They can give you intel about Angelina that you don't have. And then she goes and gets Angelina's perspective and doesn't even really get her perspective. Because Angelina said, yeah, we were a pretty tight group. We were going to vote out Rizzo. And she's like, actually, it was you. Like, Q and Stephanie are after you. It's like, what benefit was that? Like, unless you want to create the final two with Angelina, what was the actual
Because
goal
even
of
if the end of that was me and Angelina are gonna be super tight and we're gonna work together, like that's not a scary tandem. And it didn't
No,
even
and
seem like
it's-
that's what happened from that conversation. Like she's still gonna work with Mike.
Yeah, it's not what happened from that conversation, because immediately after that conversation, she goes back to Christian and kind of tells him I blew up everything. I told both parties, each different whatever. So yeah, it didn't benefit her and Angelina's working relationship. It just kind of was like, I guess she's working back with Christian now and she wants to go with the David versus Goliath trio, even though she's kind of blown up both sides. So I thought it was really really bad gameplay. Maybe on a different season, it costs her. In this episode, it doesn't, because again, there's already just it's like tribal alliance, but it's pre-game alliances, because there's a David versus Goliath trio that's voting together. Maybe if there isn't those pre-existing relationships, Emily does go home on a season where it's like, oh my gosh, no one can trust her. But because she has that pre-game alliance with Christian and Christian has that working relationship with Mike White, it didn't really hurt her game tonight. It might in the next few episodes, though.
Yeah, I mean, her stock's in the gutter. They might take her off the NASDAQ. Like, we just simply don't know when she'll be able to recover. So besides Flippin, who else stock is
Mm.
just really went in the toilet here?
Thought Rizzo. Thought Rizzo had a bit of a stock down for me. It's not like a gigantic one. I think Rizzo and Genevieve kind of got the oops, maybe told the wrong person the wrong thing. Thought with Genevieve's part, maybe telling Tiffany was not really necessary. You already told Joe and Chrissy and Coach. Why didn't you tell everybody on the beach that Aubrey's dangerous? That's eventually good words gonna get around to Aubrey. I thought with Rizzo, maybe just told the wrong person because afterwards we know that he told Charlie that he didn't vote for his number one. So both of them, I'm stocked down on both of them just because they maybe just ran their mouth a little too much, maybe just to the wrong person at the wrong time, and that could end up getting them. It doesn't make the edit if it's not important. So I think it's possibly something that could be foreshadowing in the future.
Yeah, I'm worried about Genevieve. Like, I just don't. I think she might be a better player than Aubrey. Just the way the games played out so far, I don't think she's going to get the better of that exchange when those two inevitably go head to head.
Yeah, I mean, she's my answer too, for one very obvious reason. Unless they split the votes, Aubrey plays the idol, she's probably going to vote out Genevieve.
Yeah.
So Genevieve is just screwed, not to mention, again, she kind of tells Tiffany what's going on, and Tiffany's able to warn Aubrey and kind of show what's happening here in the future. And, she will play the idol at the next time this tribe goes to tribal council. You have to think that that's coming, right?
Easily.
So Genevieve's screwed there. And then the other end of it, even if they don't go to tribal, she's just talking to everybody way too much, right? She's just running around, and maybe that's editing. Maybe everyone's kind of doing that and they just tried to paint Genevieve in this light, but I just don't think that gameplay tends to work. You have to do it in a very different demeanor. You have to almost go up to the person where you're trying to sell it that you're doing them a favor by talking to them. It's kind of the Boston Rob Godfather thing where you're doing that, and then on the flip side, they're looking up to you because you are sharing some information with them, and they feel almost indebted to you. She's not really doing that. She's almost trying to ask for everyone's support, which just doesn't really do well, especially in Survivor. So I'm a little concerned about that. The other person I'm a little bit concerned about, and this is going a little bit sideways here.
Can I real quick before you say that?
Yeah,
Is it Christian?
yeah, it is Christian, because not only did Flippin kind of put him on the spot here,
Genevieve.
we've been talking about the tea leaf thing, right? And we've been talking about how there's just so many tea leaves and how some of this just can't matter. I don't know if you guys have caught this one, but I've been kind of picking it up. Have you noticed, because he's been to every tribal, feels like after every challenge, he at least feels like he's a reason they lost, and it's edited to appear that he's a crucial reason why they weren't able to get the victory. He's just not performing well in these challenges, which we didn't really see in David vs. Goliath. The first time we've seen this guy on our screen, he's jumping through things with John Morrison and eventually solves the slide puzzle in 5 seconds. That's our first image of Christian in Survivor. And now he's just been totally incompetent. He wasn't great as a caller, and it seemed like there was some friction with Angelina there, which I thought was rather interesting, where they're like, we don't need you. You're confusing us. And then at the puzzle portion, he's just a disaster. And this is the puzzle guy. And I think the biggest part of this, and it didn't really come to fruition in David vs. Goliath, it actually was the opposite problem. In journalism, we talk about kind of knowing your audience. And when you write something, you have to understand who you're writing it for. So if I'm writing a sports piece, I have to use vernacular and language that connects with the sports person, which usually doesn't include vernacular. Okay. So a word like that, you're usually not saying something like that when you're writing a game recap. But if you're writing a college essay, then you are using words like verbiage and vernacular, like the language we speak here. So it's just kind of meeting people where they're at. And Christian did an amazing job his first go round with that, where he's talking to guys like John Morrison, and he's a brochacho, okay? And he's kind of proving he can be one of the guys. He's still a weird, quirky guy. He's still that nerd. But deep down, he's a great dude, and people can kind of connect with that, and they respect it. Here, I think you're getting a little bit too much Professor Hibiki, where he's a little bit too out of their depth when he's saying, turn the piece 180 degrees. I know what that means, but if you yelled that at me quickly while I'm trying to do a puzzle blindfolded, when I'm starving after 7 days being on an island, I'm not sure I would react to that the way I would now, right? And that's knowing your audience. That's knowing who you're talking to. I haven't got the impression that he has been able to do that so far in this game. He's had moments. He did the thing where he's rocking Joe back and forth with his hand and kind of talking to him like a baby, like calming him down. And then he had that excellent moment with the fire where he's able to use everyone's glasses and everyone's endeared by that. But his reactions after the challenges, the way he's talking about some things with other people, I think the guy we saw who's able to have a conversation with literally anyone on a season designed for social disparity, I think that's been lacking so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna make a case for Christian, but I was gonna take the opposite approach. I was gonna say my stock is down on him, really to no fault. Not his, like inherently, it's his game is down, but it's not his own doing. I thought Emily blowing
Big
up
part of it is flipping, yeah.
Emily blowing up his game, and I thought Genevieve also telling everybody that Aubrey's dangerous. It's almost confirmed now that Aubrey will use that idol, which means there's no way of Christian getting that idol back. So his way of working favor with Aubrey, it's not going great either. If she gets voted out with the idol in her pocket, that's not going to happen anymore. So he's not going to get the idol back. And if he does get on a beach with Aubrey, he doesn't even want the idol stick on him anyway. So it's like that's not even working. He wanted no one to know that Aubrey had it besides Sari and Emily and Devins, and now everybody knows. So that plan is already gone haywire. Genevieve's talking so much to the point where Aubrey's probably going to save herself with that idol. I thought that their plan is now kind of going off the road when it was like this prior to this episode. I was like, okay, they're playing a very, very good game. Like strategically, they're losing challenges. Okay, that's the early game is you don't want to lose challenges, but we've seen people recover from early challenge losses on the tribal portion of it. I thought the other things that are maybe out of his control also took a hit because, he didn't anticipate Emily blowing up his game, didn't tell her until the tribe swap happened. And then, Aubrey, it looks like at this point, he'll not be getting that idol back.
No. And the fact that he wanted zero clout from the idol made no sense. That was so weird.
The idol stick. I don't want it.
He didn't even, you just found the idol. You don't even have the idol.
No, it's not in your possession. It's an interesting dynamic. This is the first time we've seen the Billie Eilish idol, so I'm not going to crush anybody for the execution.
Mike, the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, please.
Right, the boomerang idol. Sorry, not the Billie Eilish idol. It's sponsored by Billie Eilish. It's just a boomerang idol, really. But it is sponsored by Billie Eilish.
Do you think she's ever going to mention it, by the way? I've actually been tracking this.
In a song?
She's yet to... No, in a song. No, not in a song. Just like a story post or something. Just acknowledge the fact that she's on Survivor 50 in any way. Maybe she'll pop out of a bush eventually, and that's what we're all waiting for. But I'm just waiting for anyone in her sphere, even if it's Phineas, her brother, or producer, someone just to say, hey, Billie Eilish boomerang idol, kind of fun. No one seems to care, including Billie Eilish. So I think that's kind of detrimental to this season.
I wouldn't rule past her. Eventually someone's going to say something to that.
You're saying give Billie time? Maybe she's busy right now. Give her time.
Yeah, maybe she's working on something, but maybe after the season after the season finishes, maybe
once
the
she's such a big fan, she's not watching live, Mike. Seriously,
maybe she's a binge watcher.
Maybe she's waiting. Maybe she's waiting for the idol to be used. Be like, Billie Eilish boomerang idol in full force tonight. It was used for the first time ever. I don't know. Maybe she's waiting for the right time. I have no idea.
Okay,
I'm just grasping at straws here. I have no idea.
Suggesting she's gonna have a song about Jeff on her next album. I just think the least she could do is
mention
story
it?
post, IG, maybe a tweet like, hey, I'm watching, eyeball emoji after Flippin' goes haywire tonight. I don't know, just something.
Zach Brown will be on next week, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's about time we see all these celebrity cameos. That's what we were going to lead with if it wasn't for my rap and if that wasn't in the preview. I was very happy to see him because I'm like, how much longer can the charade go on? Before we sign off here, Theo, your turn here. Who's the next to go?
Let me see. Who's losing the next challenge? I think is Christian. Are they going back? Because if it's
no, I mean, no more Q there. Angelina's still dead weight.
Yeah, if I wonder if it's Vatu. Is Ozzy out? Or it would be Ozzy or Flippin', I think, would be the next out. You almost want to keep Stephanie there by herself.
Huh. Interesting. I don't think it's Ozzy. I'll just go ahead and I'm like super. Again, maybe I am.
You're going to be stunned by who I say. Stunned.
I think, again, Ozzy has an idol, so I'm not going to go with him. What if it is Kalo? What if they're due for a loss here? I'm not going to go with Jonathan's tribe. I don't think Jonathan's tribe's going to lose a challenge anytime.
You can just rule Sela out. Just put Sela off to the side. It's Kalo or Vatu. Unless we finally get a double elimination, then I guess Sela
Yeah.
could come in second. That's
He was in
plausible.
play.
Yeah.
Then I guess you guys would go with Suri. I wouldn't.
But we're
I
gonna
think
keep one here. Just keep it a one.
right. I'm gonna go with Genevieve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Caleb.
I'm gonna go Christian.
Christian.
I'm going Christian. Here's why.
No.
Ozzy's probably gonna feel the heat. Ozzy's gonna play the idol. Ozzy has a good relationship with Mike White. I'm not sure the vibes are all there with Christian. I think he'd write Christian's name down, and Christian's gone. And I think Stephanie would kind of be lockstep with that. And we'll get some Ozzy Stephanie hype here. They'll try to link up, and then maybe we'll get this full circle moment where Ozzy is somehow the mediator between Stephanie and Suri, and they bury the hatchet.
Oh, that would be great. I think that, again, I'm not ruling out. I think it's great that Emily did not blindside Ozzy. Like, if there was 4-2 tonight, I would be really down on Ozzy. I'm like, ooh, he got left out of the vote. I think it's good that that's a working relationship that could still happen. And again, Emily looks like she's in the dumps right now. But that could still be a vote with Ozzy, wherever he wants to go next, wherever Stephanie's a free agent at this point, at least on this beach. I know she still has Genevieve and Colby and those other people on different beaches. But on this beach, he could rope into Stephanie. Him and Emily have a working relationship right now. And yeah, if Mike White and Christian's, bond isn't as strong, it's clearly not as strong as Mike White and Angelina's bond, maybe they would be willing to write Christian's name down. I would not rule it past them if they are to go tribal again.
Christian, Genevieve, and Suri in our draft went 7, 8, 9. And I think all are in grave danger on their separate tribes.
You thought Suri was in grave danger since episode 1. She had a horrible episode 1.
No, I thought long term she was in grave danger. I didn't think she was in imminent danger. I think now she is perhaps in imminent danger, but we shall see because she's Suri, and this is kind of what she does. She is able to just kind of wiggle her way out of stuff, and perhaps that could be just being on a tribe with Jonathan.
That could help.
That
Suri
could be her wiggling way out of things where she is no longer kind of dead weight because it doesn't matter who's around Jonathan. He's going to win a comp.
Yeah, I think she's I think she's always going to be in danger. Like I'm not that, I'm not that stupid. I know that Suri is obviously a dangerous player. She's always going to be in trouble. But I think, still on her own tribe. I think Dee is a dangerous player. I think Rizzo is a dangerous player. I think there's ways that you could possibly dodge bullets if you're Suri here. And again, maybe you don't have to go to tribal unless there's triple elimination episodes here.
There's no factions on Sela yet, so it's hard to say where that would go.
Right.
Yeah. There's the 4 former Kalo members, but there's nothing like super concrete that we've seen on screen up to this point. Any final thoughts, like whether it's analysis from this episode, what you're looking forward to in the future, anything you've been annoyed with outside of Jeff being high on his own supply and getting a snapping brigade going and rapping and me simply doing it better here?
My final thought would be, again, I love the cast of characters on the season. I don't want there to be so many people going home kind of without even any fight. Like Q goes home tonight because he lost the supplies challenge that he never should have even had to participate in because they already should have had supplies. Fatu won that reward challenge. He then loses his vote just to get pots and pans, and then his vote ends up being, I know it wouldn't have saved him tonight. Maybe his vote wouldn't have saved him tonight. But again, it's just like another thing that, like, I hope that's not the rest. I hope Colby, when he finally goes to tribal council, him not being able to vote is the reason why he goes home. Like I would be bummed if 2 people that, like, I was pleasantly surprised how, like, kind of adequate they've been so far. If they are to go home to the fault of no one but production, that would really bum me out.
Yeah, I second that.
But overall, though, I'm still having a good time. It was a lot. It was a funny episode. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. I want to see a little bit more depth. I thought today we got a lot, and I'll say it one more time before we part here. We're just getting so many like subplot storylines. A, it's impossible to keep track of. And B, are any of these going to pay off? Like, I think the best part of storytelling is you have to have some red herrings in there. Because if every time you have a side plot and it pays off in like kind of an obvious way, then that's not really storytelling. You can talk to Mike White about that. But I think it can be true the other way where you're getting so much and so little is actually meaningful. It's kind of muddying what's actually important and what's not. So there needs to be a balance here with the editing, and perhaps it's just too early. There's just too many people and we have to kind of tell the story in this kind of convoluted way. and it will pay off. Maybe we're jumping the gun here, but that's been something that's been frustrating me just a little bit. But regardless, I having a good time, and that's all that matters. And
Yeah,
you
real
know,
quick, just to add on that point, like you reminded me of my whatever my other final thought would have been, which is like, do you think we're going to see this Rick Devens idle plant at Tribal? Will that actually be something that actually matters? They showed it for like a
has
long
to.
time. Yeah, like
Don't think. Well, first of all, there's 2 in on it, so you have double the chance, right? And I don't think it would end an episode of Survivor if it didn't matter. I don't think they would have edited it that way. Maybe they would have like shown it quick. It was great TV regardless, but I think maybe they would have sped it up a little bit. They really let it fester and play out and do all the angles and
makes me think
confessionals
it'll
surrounding it.
yeah, it'll circle back. We'll circle back to that mattering eventually, or it'll matter to somebody. I don't know whose game it might derail, but that should play a part in the season possibly.
Well, it's about time all 3 gurus were on the Survivor recap, so that was a welcome sight tonight. And if you're at this point in the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us over on TikTok. I still think we have 44 followers. Can someone please freaking follow us over on TikTok?
TikTok,
And then the Instagram's doing great, as is the YouTube. But TikTok, we're in TikTok 44 follower jail right now. We have to escape. But if you haven't yet, please be sure to watch our NFL free agency video that me and Mike put up yesterday. That was a doozy, and we're still getting some content up surrounding that. In the future, we will be doing a March Madness video of some kind, which I am really looking forward to. And then me and Mike talked about it yesterday, some more basketball stuff. We need to get some NBA stuff here in the pipeline. The association, really hot right now. Shout out to Bam Adebayo, stat padding his way to 83 points and making everyone in Los Angeles whine and moan for 24 hours. I've enjoyed that more than maybe anyone else. Anywho, a lot over here in Guru Land. Expect at least 2 pods a week in the future. But for Theo, for Mike, I am X. We are the Gurus, and we will see you next time. Peace.